So this week, the city of Minneapolis faced circumstances that no city would ever want to face. But from fire to police, from neighborhood relations to communications, from emergency management to health, our city showed up. And because of that collective work, lives were saved. I want to give a big thank you to our law enforcement officers who ran towards danger and responded literally within minutes to one of the most tragic and horrific situations that our city has ever seen. But our response on Wednesday was not limited to Wednesday, and it was not limited to the incredible work from our police and law enforcement. Our firefighters, our paramedics, our health team, neighborhood community relations, communications department, and emergency management were all part of this work. They worked seamlessly behind the scenes and in front of them to make sure that people had the resources that they needed. Our emergency management team deserves some really special recognition because they were doing the work within minutes. They were setting up family support services and sites. They were providing food and water to the professionals that were on the scene in the moment. And they were also coordinating mental health response with parents and making sure that support was coming their way. Big thank you to Commissioner Barnett and Director Sayers, who are with us here today and will be speaking shortly. Those quiet heroes, they don't often get the spotlight, but the work that they have been doing, not just on Wednesday and the following days, but in many cases for years leading up to this moment. I want to take a second to recognize that following the events of 2020, we as a city did not sit back on our hands. We did everything possible to improve emergency management and crisis response. We worked tirelessly around NIMS, which is the National Incident Management System. We set up procedures and protocols. We set up channels to make sure that communications were going to the right people at the right time, all the way from incident command and the people on the ground up to the MAC group and myself. All of that work culminated in late 2023 with a trip out to Emmitsburg, Maryland, where FEMA helped to facilitate a number of simulations. Those simulations, that collective work, and the stick-to-itness that we showed in the years following helps to prepare us for emergencies of any kind. Obviously, you don't know the nature of an emergency before it arises, but the work that the city of Minneapolis has collectively done has shown resolve and has showed strength, and I'm proud of the performance over the last several days, and we also know that it's not over yet. I also want to give a huge thank you to the school staff and the students, because any emergency response is not limited to city officials themselves. They saved lives. They jumped on the backs of their closest friends to make sure that they were protected from bullets, and they escorted students out of the way to make sure they weren't hit by fire. They're heroes. The staff of Annunciation, the families at Annunciation, they are heroes. They deserve our full support right now because they represent the very best of Minneapolis. And to our broader community, thank you. We've seen neighborhoods step up with donations. We've seen neighbors come forward with support. We've seen faith leaders open their doors for comfort, and people have showed so much love to each other during the most tragic of situations. We are a greater Minneapolis family. Annunciation is a huge part of that family. When tough times arise for families, those families stick together. We wrap our arms around each other. And that's exactly the kind of strength and resolve that has been shown over these last several days, and it won't stop. We are united in grief. We're united in action, and we're united in a shared resolve to make sure that we are showing the kind of love that is emblematic of the city that we are. In the coming week, we know there will be a lot of difficult emotions due to school starting on Monday for Minneapolis kids, and we will be there. Our safety teams will support, and we'll make sure that families both are safe and that they feel safe. There is a lot of work to be done. A lot of work is underway. And I also want to just take a moment to thank the press and the media for covering it through these circumstances. It's so critical that we have you to make sure that we're getting these communications out and they're as accurate as possible. So thank you. And with that, I'm proud to turn it over to Commissioner Todd Barnett, who has been so critical to the coordination of these responses. Commissioner.
Good afternoon. I'm Todd Barnett, the Commissioner of Community Safety for the City of Minneapolis. Thank you, Mayor. We all know that a lot of folks are hurting from this week's events, but there is comfort, as we see our victims leave the hospital, and also comfort in knowing that there were so many heroic actions taking place this week to save lives. We all know that this could have been a lot worse if not for the heroic actions of the people inside the church and the first responders who ran into the church and to the scene. I specifically want to recognize all of those children who protected their friends from gunfire, and the school and faith leaders who ran into the church and to the scene without worrying about their own safety. Like the mayor said, this reminds us in the face of tragedy that there's strength, there's resilience, there's goodness, and there's love for each other. I want to acknowledge the outstanding coordination and collaboration from all of our city departments, our surrounding cities, the county, the state, and the federal partners, along with our community partners and nonprofit organizations. We cannot thank you enough. This demonstrates the impact that all of us can have when we're working together. Our Emergency Management Director, Rachel Sayre, joined us earlier this year, and I've watched her. She's hit the ground running. She has emphasized the importance of preparedness. She's also emphasized the importance of our response, the recovery process, and learning from incidents. She brings an international experience to responding to emergencies. Her leadership and her team's leadership and response were critical in helping victims and families in the community. Director Sayre has brought a new level of preparedness to our city. Director Sayre, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. My name is Rachel Sayre, R-A-C-H-E-L, last name S-A-Y-R-E. I am the Director of Emergency Management for the City of Minneapolis, and I am also right now the Director of the Emergency Operations Center for the city. When I arrived to this role in the city, my mission was to ensure that we were prepared for whatever disaster or large-scale emergency would come our way. This week, we activated our city's Emergency Operations Center and emergency plans immediately. Our job when we do this is to provide services for the impacted families, as well as to provide resources for the first responders so that they can get their job done safely. We provided, in the immediacy of this emergency, food, water. We had mental health resources on site to be provided to families while they were still at the church. And going onward, we have continued to provide services and support, such as hot meals, things like mental health and spiritual support. We are providing pet therapy dogs as well. We are providing, most importantly, connections to resources that are going to help the family immediately and in the ongoing aftermath of this tragedy. If you were impacted, it's really important that you know this. If you were at the scene, if you worked in the church, if you were a neighbor that witnessed what happened, if you were a witness in the immediate area, you have the ability to access funds that will help you recover. These are managed through the Office of Justice Programs through the state, a great partner in helping make sure that you have access to these funds. You can find these funds on their website. These are going to help you get reimbursed for things like lost wages, for medical expenses, for childcare, accessibility. So we really encourage you, if you were impacted, to please reach out and avail yourself of these reimbursement funds and apply. We want to make sure you have access to those. And then finally, I'll just say we always want to make sure our community is prepared, and one of the best ways you can be connected to making sure you have the latest information is by texting MPLS alerts to 77295, and that is going to get you the most immediate information when we have severe life-threatening alerts that you need to be aware of. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our Assistant Chief Gators.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Assistant Chief Christopher Gators, the Minneapolis Police Department, CHRISTOPHERGAITERS. Just to let you know quickly here that we don't have any new updates as far as the investigation. I am here to speak operationally about what is taking place with the police department moving forward. Keep in mind, we understand that as parents, worshipers, officers within our law enforcement community, we understand the fears and concerns that so many of our community members have regarding what has taken place and what they're carrying within themselves right now. We recognize that people want to be reassured that our community is going to be safe, that our children are going to be safe. Those visiting and frequenting these facilities such as schools and worship facilities are going to be safe, and we take that very seriously. We're committed to doing everything we can to ensure that our teachers, administrators, along with, more importantly, our children coming back to school and those who are already in school are going to remain safe. We equally are committed to safety, and for those who are attending, we have volunteers within our schools. We have parents who come and volunteer. We have community members who come and volunteer, and we're committed to them and want to reassure them that we are doing everything in our power to make certain that you are safe and that your daily operations will continue as they have in the past, as you expect them to do, with the safety being brought by our police department. The Minneapolis Police Department has implemented round-the-clock extra patrols, which means that typically on the police department we have officers within districts patrolling areas. However, Chief O'Hara has made it well understood that we and our officers will be patrolling those areas more frequently than we have in the past. So in their downtime, where they will be patrolling facilities of worship, school facilities, and making certain that they're being seen and people are being kept safe. These enhanced patrols will remain in effect through September 5th. However, keep in mind that Chief O'Hara will evaluate information as it comes in and can scale up and adjust these patrols and extra patrols as information comes in. The Minneapolis State Patrol, Department of Natural Resources, and many Hennepin County agencies are also providing extra assistance with extra patrols for our city as far as public safety is concerned, and we are very much so appreciative of that. We cannot do this without our law enforcement partners and our community members. Patrols and through these agencies will continue through September 3rd. And again, those can be scaled up or back as information comes in. Since August, our patrol operations have been strengthened by additional support from state and county and local law enforcement partners. And we will continue to use them to progress through and work through these challenges that we're facing, but be certain about the fact that we will be here for community and be here for your safety. As far as our residents, please remember we'll always have you in our hearts and in our prayers, and we'll remember that when we're out and engaging and doing our operations, please feel free to come up and speak with us. Our officers are much so willing to engage with community members as they're keeping them safe. We ask everyone to remain vigilant. If you see something, please call. Things that you see out in the community, you're going to see it oftentimes before us. Obviously, we can't be everywhere, although we try, but we realize that with your partnership and community, you're going to see something, please call us, and we'll be right there for you. As far as this tragedy, we know that has shaken our city, our community. Many are concerned, but I will say this, we've learned through this challenge that we are a very resilient community. We're a community of people who care about one another. And unfortunately, through these incidents, it tells us time and time again that Minneapolis will remain strong, we will remain vigilant, and we will follow the leadership of our mayor and our chief of police, along with our commissioner, in the efforts of public safety to continue to make you and keep you safe. So please, when you see us out there, know that we're standing strong with you. We'll be there for you, and we cannot do this without you. We'll make this through together. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to the mayor.
Any questions?
When you talk about the extra patrols that are going to be happening over the next week or so, can you explain how you're going to be staffing that and how you balance the overtime with the need for mental wellness for the officers who respond to this?
Yes. Great question. I'll turn it over to Chief Gators in just a second, but I want to start by thanking our partners from a number of different jurisdictions, from Hennepin County Sheriff's Office to the State Patrol, to a number of different cities that have stepped up to help us out. We know that our Minneapolis police officers experienced some pretty significant trauma in what they saw and what they had to do on Wednesday, and we want to make sure that they have the necessary time to recalibrate and rest. That's critical, and we have a job to do to make sure that our streets are safe and the police slots are properly staffed. That requires help. So through a combination, yes, potentially of overtime, but also assistance from other jurisdictions, we're going to be able to do exactly that. Again, we could not do this without this broader team, and we're so appreciative of this work. Chief, did I miss anything? Or if I did, that's okay. You can feel free to add to it.
Thank you, Mayor. You hit the nail on the head. As far as our staffing with our police department, we will remain staffed with the assistance of our partners throughout the state, whether it be locally, county, statewide. We'll remain staffed to serve our citizens and give them the service that they are expecting from us.
Assistant Chief Gators, two questions for you. One follows to that. I know you said the timeline is fluid in terms of how long these extra patrols will be out there. What went into the decision to have that timeline be September 5th and not potentially having it be longer?
Great question. The question was, as far as the staffing, what went into consideration for making a September 5th ending period? As you said before, this is fluid. At some point, we have to give a date just for operational purposes of when operations may end. It's a date. The chief is well aware of information that comes in, and dates can be adjusted, and they will be adjusted. I just want to make it very clear that we will be staffing our officers with assistance from our partners in law enforcement, and those dates are fluid. They can be adjusted, and they will be adjusted if need be.
Second question for you. On Wednesday, right after the shooting occurred, we saw dogs and officers walking throughout backyards around the neighborhood. Was there ever any sort of explosive device found at the church or around the scene?
And the question was as far as officers and K-9 officers and K-9s around residential areas and buildings in the area where there are explosive devices located. Investigatively, I don't have any information to indicate that that is the case. When and if we do come across that, that will be updated by the chief to all of you. At this time, I don't have that information.
Assistant Chief, I know you said no questions about the investigation, but just so we're on the record asking this. The chief said yesterday this hadn't happened. Can you tell us, have investigators been able to talk to the shooter's mother at this point?
I can tell you this, through working with our partners with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension of Minnesota, there has been conversation, and I am not at liberty to go any further than that.
Can you say whether she's here in Minneapolis or the area?
I am not at liberty to go any further than that, but I do appreciate the question. Thank you.
Director Sayer, how much is in this fund that is available for mental health programs and aid to people who need it? And second part of that is, are there controls in place to keep an eye out for potential fraud, people ripping it off?
Yes, so the question was about the fund. The fund's name is the Minnesota Crime Victims Reimbursement Program, and it is run by the state's Office of Justice Programs. So I would completely have to defer to them on all of those questions about the amount and procedures in place.
Just wondering, in terms of the quick response that we've heard so much about over the last few days and the changes that you made since 2020 to improve emergency response, can you talk about if there were specific changes that were in effect on Wednesday that helped that quick response?
Yeah, before I answer that question, there's a couple of other things I wanted to touch on. From the very earliest moments, we were getting outreach for enabling additional support. The governor very clearly told me that they would be able to provide what resources that we needed, and they have delivered. The sheriff, Dewana Witt, was also very clear that she was ready to step up and help, and they certainly did. And we're so appreciative of that work and beyond. From city to county to state to federal partners, people truly did step up, and we are very appreciative. You asked what changes have been made. What this is more about than specific changes is practice. And we practiced a whole lot. We practiced the coordination through our National Incident Management System. We practiced communication channels and how that would work in a time of crisis. We practiced making sure that people understood exactly what their responsibility was, regardless of the events that might occur. And that may sound like a small thing. It's not. There's a deep understanding throughout our city of how incident command functions. Whether you are an individual that is going to conduct incident command, I am not, or you are somebody else throughout the enterprise, it is providing what supports we can to the person and the people that are on the ground doing the work. The flow of information was drastically improved. The coordination of that information through a comms plan in the JIC, as well as the work that we did on the more broad level through the MAC, was of critical importance and also enabled me to do my job better. And so it's not one thing that we changed. It's not one policy that was shifted. It's a whole lot of practice, again, that culminated with bringing over 70 people, 70 leaders from the city out to Emmitsburg, Maryland, to practice again and again over a series of days simulations to make sure that when something does go down, we're ready. And, look, crises occur in this world. Emergencies are getting all the more frequent, and so we collectively felt that this was very important.
Assistant Chief Gators, can you talk about if there's going to be any collaboration inside schools with security staff during that period that you mentioned before, from now to September 5th?
Currently, And the question was whether or not there'd be collaboration with security staff. And are you talking about at Annunciation, or are you speaking with in schools in general?
Schools throughout the city.
Yeah, it is through operations with the police department. Communications, conversations are frequently held with our safety and security within our school systems with the police department. We work jointly on efforts to help secure and make our children and faculty members and those who are visiting schools safe. Those will continue, and the expectation is that they will continue as well with our operations side of our police department and patrol.
Just a question for the Assistant Chief. Do you know how many officers are taking advantage of the mental health resources that responded to Annunciation, and also how long is the rest of recovery for before they go back on the street?
Thank you for your question. The question is if our officers are taking advantage of our wellness programs, and they are. Our officers in large number is very different than many, many years ago when I came on the department. It is pleasing to see the number of officers who are taking advantage of this. This is something that our city has worked very hard with the police department on, and from the mayor on down, this is something that is encouraged with our officers, and they are taking advantage of it. The amount of time for each and every officer will be different. It depends on what the officers need, but we rest assured that we are here to make certain that they get what they need. And if that's the resources of experts within our wellness program, they're there for them. If that's time, we'll give them as much time as they need to make certain that they can come back very healthy.
We're going to do two more questions. Just a quick question for the Assistant Chief. Have you determined at this point what time the shooter arrived at the church, and if this person had done surveillance of the church in the days, weeks, months prior to the shooting?
And the question is whether or not we have the time, and whether or not the time of when the shooter arrived, and whether or not surveillance was done on the facility. At this time, I don't have that information. When that information is available and we're able to give that to you, we definitely will.
We're hearing about people in the shooter's past, I mean, dating all the way back to like middle school. We're talking about, don't want to use the legal term red flags, but like warning signs. And we're sitting here talking about emergency management, but then there's also prevention. Can you say whether warning signs were missed in this case, based on what you know right now?
And the question is whether or not warning signs have been missed regarding the person who committed these very heinous acts. Those are investigative details, and we'll leave them in the investigation until we're able to give that information to you. The investigation it's very important that the steps of the investigation are followed and information comes out as we can actually disperse it. However, it's a very good question. However, at this time, we're just unable to give that information out. We're following the leads of the investigation, and eventually it can be packaged up in a way that is easier to comprehend, than I'll be able to explain it at this point.
Just real quick, are the extra patrols focused on private or public schools, both, and Catholic or all religious institutions?
Very good question. The question was whether our extra patrols are focused on all schools and all religious institutions. Yes, all inclusive. Any religious facility, we're trying to make certain that we have all of those facilities. And we have a long list of facilities, but we're making certain that we have all of them where within our city that our district officers are able to give extra patrol to, and to our schools as well, private and public.
Thanks, everybody.